Welcome everyone to another curious new season called What Next, which is, as you can see on the big letters on the screen in front of you, compass planning for big brands in a smaller world. There's going to be 3 talks, of which this is the first, and this one it's called Digital at Home and Local. So I'm guessing you can kind of work out what I'm going to be talking about. Let's start with something that's kind of fairly hard to dispute. Everything changed. Throughout the going back to March this year, sometimes it feels like it hasn't changed, but really a lot has. But we don't always know what type of change it's going to be. This is from a useful doc that Google released, where they talk about the 3 different types of change that they've noticed in people's patterns. There's the shock change, where it's a sudden change in behavior, but actually it's probably going to return to normal not long afterwards. There's a step change, where you see a big jump in something, and then that may continue later as well. You could think about, for example, exercise. A big jump in people buying home exercise and outdoor exercise gear. That's unlikely to return to its previous levels before. And then you've got the speed up change, which is the acceleration of something that was already happening, and that may sustain as well. Note that in those cases, both of those cases, we can't say for sure they will sustain, so we caveat it by saying they may sustain. You can look at online shopping as one of those things. You can see there was a huge leap in online shopping as we went into lockdown in the last financial quarter. That seems to be going down a little bit. It's predicted to continue at a higher level than it was before. But if we look at that kind of out of context a bit, we actually see that a lot of that leap was because physical retail sales dropped. So although online retail as an absolute quantity has increased, the jump seems bigger. But that said, we know from experience that more people are doing more things online out of necessity. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, will this enforced short-term digitization result in a longer-term adoption? And I can tell you the answer definitively is, I don't know. Maybe. People say they're going to continue doing more things. They say about 2 in 5 people say they're going to be shopping online more frequently in the future. About 1 in 5 people say they're going to use video conferencing more frequently, and about the same say they're going to be using streaming video more frequently. But what people think and what they say and what they do are often wildly varying. And we can look at more evidence and say, well, okay, delivery services, they seem like they're set up for the long haul. Tesco, Amazon, Domino's, all kind of employing lots more delivery people. Aldi launching a click and collect service for the first time. So they seem fairly confident. But to know that these things are definitely going to happen, I would need to have a crystal ball. And obviously I don't have a crystal ball. And also crystal balls don't work. So to quote a great man, when the waters are choppy, you don't need a crystal ball, you need a compass. A compass not only guides you forward, but more importantly, it tells you where you've come from. So this is the only way to plan a course and safely reach your destination. So VCCP earlier in the year created what's called their post-COVID compass planning guidebook. And that's not trying to predict the future, that's focusing on what's true, whatever the conditions are. So this talk is going to be a little bit based on this compass planning guidebook. It's going to be trying to predict the future, not predict the future, that's completely wrong. It's going to be trying to tell people how to work out where they may need to go based on what we know. And some of those things that we know are just that human needs actually don't change that much. Although our environment changes and our society changes, the fundamental human needs, those are the things that we can anchor in our attempts to make sense of the changing world. So I'm going to give 4 recommendations, compass points. I don't know what they are. Let's start by looking at how culture at home has changed. Now, after this huge slump in people leaving their house to go to retail and recreation centres back in April, you can see there's kind of been a partial recovery. People are going back out again. In fact, it's about 17% down on the baseline, which is quite a lot. But a lot of what's missing from that is still the recreation side. I think retail is slowly recovering, pubs are slowly recovering, restaurants, that type of thing. But museums and galleries, although they're slowly reopening, a lot of that is still kind of missing. And where they are open, they're very reduced footfall as well. So museums and galleries tried to get around this initially by just taking their tours online. Everyone from the Natural History Museum to the Louvre to the Tate, they did guided tours. The new exhibitions that were due to open this year, they kind of put them online as videos that you could watch instead. And some galleries tried to build virtual replicas of their spaces that people could try and get the gallery experience from. But I think what was most successful was when they brought the exhibits to your home. And instead of making you feel like you were going to the gallery, it was better to make you feel like the gallery was coming to you. It's a much easier way for people to explore and to share their experiences. So from Russia's State Darwin Museum partnering with Google Arts and Culture to Damien Hirst in Snapchat, you can try Picasso from Christie's catalogue, or you can put some of Olafur Eliasson's kind of nature-inspired artworks to make your toilet look nicer. And there was also a big drive towards social entertainment. So people are watching or have been watching a lot more visual media than this time last year, about 90 minutes a day more, which is an awful lot. And a lot of that comes from streaming video on demand and live and recorded TV. So it was a good time really to launch a streaming service. So well done Disney Plus for getting that here, and well done VCCP for kind of tying that, and O2 for putting that promotion in place. I think that's perfectly timed promotion at a time when people are looking for more options. The next step in that has kind of been making these experiences more social. Now, a lot of people obviously in family groups and in friend groups watch TV together. When you're socially distanced, you can't do that so easily anymore. So everybody from Netflix to Twitch to Disney Plus to Facebook Messenger introduced watch party features where you can dial up your friends, bring them all into a video call, and you can watch along and comment and chat while you're doing these things together. Twitch and Amazon Prime have kind of teamed up to do these things. Spotify have done group listening as well. So there's this real feel that everybody's working in this space to try and make these experiences more social. And it's kind of been the return of big appointment viewing as well. Appointment viewing has sort of dropped off over the last few years as we've had video on demand. But now it's come back again. I don't know how many people watch this. This is an Instagram live channel called Versus TV. And what they do is they get two famous musicians to go head to head playing their record collections or singing their songs. For the latest one, they brought back Monica and Brandy. Well, shout out to the 90s kids. Who famously feuded, and they brought them back together to sing on stage in this Versus format for the first time. It got 6 million viewers in the live stream. It got 20 million streams. 30 out of 40 songs on the Apple Music R&B and Soul chart were by these two artists. So absolutely massive deal. And we're seeing Amazon Music and Twitch starting to partner up as well. So musicians can play live, stream live through Twitch and have it broadcast through Amazon Music. And again, VCCP were well on top of this with the Meerkat music, with the return of Take That and Robbie Williams, and with Little Mix, really filling a need for people to have this entertainment back in their lives. And you can see this increasing even further in the future. Spotify have just announced that artists can include virtual events on their tour listings. And Twitch, as I mentioned just a second ago, you can now live stream from Twitch into your Amazon Music account. We've seen Fortnite push further into music. They're doing what's called a Spotlight series in their Party Royale island. So a musician will go, or an artist or a band will go into a studio in LA, and it will be broadcast live on a big screen into Fortnite Party Royale. And I thought it was really interesting the way they're framing this. They're saying that this is a tour stop now. If you're on tour, you want to stop on the Fortnite stage. So, you know, one day you're playing, I don't know, Bristol Colston Hall, the next you're playing Fortnite Party Royale. And it's going even further into this is now, as well as consumption, as well as viewing and maybe commenting and liking, there's more of a desire for immersive experiences. And again, we saw Fortnite leading the way on that with the Travis Scott experience, but we've also seen people like Zed going into Snapchat, The Weeknd into TikTok. And Sony is building a team of people just dedicated to reimagining music through immersive media. using Unreal Engine. So there's a lot more of this to come. Tomorrowland, which is a big rave that's held every year, they went entirely virtual. They built their own virtual space. Had big artists playing in there. That's Katy Perry playing in there. You had Burning Man that went into alt space. There are a whole bunch of startups moving into this space coming soon. So there's new entries in this field. There's one called Stageverse, which has got a big gig from Muse coming up. There's one called Sensorium, which looks terrible, but you never know. It's got a lot of investment. It's taken a big investment from Tidal, the music streaming service owned by Jay-Z and friends. And Facebook Horizon is obviously a big space that's opening up at the moment. At Facebook's Connect Developer Conference 2 days ago, they announced a partnership between Tidal, again, with Oculus venues to do a lot more live concerts in these spaces. So the first kind of compass point or compass principle is to be a host. There's lots of opportunities in live mass experiences, in being time limited, in games and interactive platforms. There's opportunities like with Meerkat Music, like with O2 and their music, to be involved in organizing, sponsoring and supporting. So that, I think, is a great thing to consider when you're looking at opportunities for the next 6 months. So what else happened? Well, video calls ate the world. I absolutely love this. I don't know how well you can see this on the stream. Absolutely love this, showing the reality of doing a live video stream to CNN and then what it looks like behind the scenes. And I'm sure every one of us can empathize with this. We've spent what seems like half, if not more, of our day on video calls. And the problem is everything just started to feel the same. There was Google Meet, there was Zoom, there was Blue Jeans, there was House Party, there was Duo, there was all of these things, to which there was even a neologism turned, which is Zoom fatigue. Just everything felt the same all the time. So there have been efforts to try and combat Zoom fatigue. You've seen people like Yorkshire Tea offering bespoke backgrounds, virtual backgrounds for Zoom. Companies like L'Oreal getting involved in providing cosmetics for video calls through Snap Camera. Even this game called Meet Intruders, which was a Chrome extension where while your colleagues were blissfully unaware, you could be playing a game of Space Invaders against them. But it's kind of important to remember that we're still using the same infrastructure tools and capabilities of 6 months ago. And really, they're just being stretched to their limits. They're doing things, all of them have been rapidly rolling out new features and updates, but they're still kind of the tools we had 6 months ago. And they're not really native to what the situation we find ourselves in. There are business collaboration tools, which we've used to great effect. This is Miro, which I know was used extremely on Reckitt Benckiser. So that allows us as a business to collaborate and takes care of some of the walls of post-it notes that we did before. But what we're seeing also is now a move to be more consumer focused, what I call a sort of a post-Zoom social, which is more creative and collaborative. There's a new app called which lets you do better presentations with more interestingly than just a slideshow like I'm doing. There's Here, which offers collaborative workspaces. There's Muse, which is a collaborative social network. Giggle, which is a social web browsing. You and your friends can just browse the web and go shopping and do whatever you want to do together. And that idea has been pulled through into the rise of social e-commerce. I've spoken about this at length. I've got other talks if you want to watch those. But very broadly, social e-commerce is not just e-commerce on social platforms, but trying to make something more of the experience of offline shopping available online. You've seen tools like Messenger Screen Share, which was announced recently, where your Messenger group, you have a group of friends of up to 50 people, can browse a web and go shop, or apps and go shopping together. Pinterest announced that it's got 400 million monthly active users now, loads of new social retail tools, but that reach makes it bigger than Snapchat, bigger than TikTok, bigger than Twitter in Europe. We've seen Facebook announce Facebook Shops, which is social e-commerce across all of their platforms, from messaging to Instagram to Facebook newsfeed. Even Amazon getting into the game with Amazon Live, starting to let creators sell live through video streaming. Of course, you can buy space on these platforms. You can buy shoppable ads and put your product catalog. You can buy shoppable media and let people browse and buy, but it's not quite the same as being able to actually create an experience. To help people find what they're looking for, we should be kind of rethinking how we do product recommendations by suggesting creative and interesting ways to use products. So for everything from unboxing to live cosmetics tutorials, or if we look across to China, there's people live stream selling everything from kiwi fruit to cars, influencers, farmers, CEOs. There's lots more opportunity there to be more inspirational and get people to buy through social e-commerce. And also you can do this with virtual product demonstrations as well. This is virtual unboxings from OnePlus. You've got Apple make all of their new products available for you to view a 3D model in your home. Gucci have now got a dedicated section in their app so you can try on their shoes and their hats and their glasses. Even Amazon, again, getting into the game with cosmetics previews. For this type of thing, AR is really table stakes. It's not something that should be thought of as now, something cutting edge and modern. It's here and it's being used every single day. And there's one other opportunity to reach clients as well to provide this retail experience, and that's when their package arrives. For everything from getting across your brand values to, I love this Google Pixel one. The last Pixel phone came packaged as a cereal box with a little package of cereal inside. And then you can also enhance that using augmented reality. So if you point Google Lens at the box, it gives you an intro video. It's a great opportunity for creativity and brand experience. And unboxing, as they say, is now a second moment of truth. So my second sort of compass point, and I apologize in advance for the language used on this slide, is be a retail-tainer. I'm so sorry. I couldn't think of a better term than retail-tainer. It's a horrible portmanteau. I just can't think of it any better way. But it's to consider anyway, shopping as entertainment, shopping as a social thing. There's so many opportunities in here for brands and businesses to be involved in this. Local shops for local people. That was an impersonation. I kind of chickened out halfway through. Google Trends shows a massive increase in people searching for local X. And Shopify have identified that almost 2/3 or 3 in 5 people are looking for independently owned businesses to support. And that's even higher for younger people as well. Google say they've seen a 50% increase in local search services in recent months, and they've rolled out a lot of tools that allow you to filter results by how close they are to you, what delivery and pickup options they have. In the US and Canada, you can even book appointments through this. So it's aimed at small businesses, but it works equally well for big businesses. If you're a big business with lots of branches around the world, you should be telling people if you offer in-store pickup, if you offer delivery, all of these things are available because that's what people are looking for. The big winner in local retail was probably Shopify. Certainly from anecdotal evidence in the area around me, I can count on 4 or 5 small shops that moved their business online thanks to Shopify. And Shopify actually said e-commerce orders made up 94% of lost in-store revenue for a lot of their retail merchants earlier this year. And again, about 1 in 4 of them are now using some form of local in-store curbside pickup. And Shopify launched the Shop app, which was intended originally as just a way for you to manage your orders, but then became a discovery tool for local businesses near you as well. And local delivery saw a huge boom. And again, in my area, we saw lots of these bikes. We saw small business owners delivering their goods themselves or using these small local bike-powered delivery services. About 1 in 3 people had something delivered locally in the first 3 months, and about the same number say they plan to use local delivery at the end of the year as well. Again, bear in mind that what they say they will do is not necessarily what they will do. But the thing about local shopping is it just feels personal. You feel like you're supporting person directly, from these amazing hand-drawn notes that were everywhere, hand-drawn chalk signs and pavement signs and window notes, to this is a lovely note I got from the owner of my local brewery after I ordered my 3rd crate of beer from him. That was over the 6-month period, not in the same week, but it just feels personal. Whereas copy and paste global marketing just kind of feels a bit out of touch right now. Whereas helping people locally is what good brands should be doing. And Domino's did this really well with their Staycation Domination campaign, where they gave away these blankets for people to use in the park, because that's all we did all summer. And also just using targeted ads very cleverly. Aldi ran a campaign where they would use locally targeted ads and say to you where your nearest store was and what times were the quietest for you to go out shopping, which is really helpful and useful. And when we go out now, it still feels a little bit like you're taking your life in your hands sometimes. Uber Eats and Deliveroo both pivoted away from delivery and actually into just allowing you to go out and pick up food, because we still need those little bits of walks. Also, they didn't have enough drivers. But when you do go out, what you will see everywhere is the QR code. The QR code is back, and I've never been happier. I've always been a proponent of QR codes. That probably says a lot about me as a person. But now when you go out, they're literally everywhere. And so I think they're a really good thing to have, because they reintroduce a notion of convenience back into things. You don't have to overuse them here like Millie's Lounge has. You can be a lot more subtle with QR codes and just make them a very small and unnoticeable part of your marketing, like in this Camden Hells ad. More seriously, QR codes are a valid option for us to use again because of the forced adoption, and they're convenient because we can use them for touchless things. That's why they've made the comeback. But anything that makes touchless possible also adds convenience to shopping. And I'm pretty sure that even when things get back to not how they were before, but semi-normal, that convenience element will stay. And you can see that with the in-store technologies, the interest in using in-store technologies, from mobile app pre-ordering to mobile payments to cashierless payments. They all help with having a healthy environment to shop in, of being touchless, of spending less time in store, but they're also incredibly convenient. And that type of thing will stick around. And to app clips, Apple just released iOS 14 yesterday or the day before. That introduces a new thing called app clips, which is essentially using a QR code or an NFC beacon, NFC point, to open a small light app on your phone, which again is great for touchless. It means you can walk into a coffee shop, scan their code, it brings up the portion of the app that lets you pay with Apple Pay, order your coffee and wait for it and go. You don't need to touch anything, you don't need to get cash out. So it's super convenient, it's super useful for the health reasons for being touchless, but it's also incredibly convenient. It's not magic, there's no reason you can't do this with a web browser too, but all of these types of things that were just for utility, being touchless, have a great degree of convenience. And that's the type of thing that you want to be helping people with when they go out their home and they go to stores. So my third compass point is to be a local. Think about think about city and national activations as opposed to global activations. Think about advertising in neighborhood and media. Support people in their communities. Make going out a lot easier. Act like a local, even if you're big and global. Right, taking a little bit of a darker turn now. Winter is coming. And I mean that both figuratively and literally. Winter is on its way. That's going to make any lockdowns a bit harder to bear. But it's also, we're going to see, as the furlough scheme has ended and we're moving into the kind of the post reaction phase, we're going to see a lot more recession. We're going to see increase in poverty, redundancies, uncertainty. Things are going to get worse for a lot of people. I mean, the very fact that you're watching this talk means that you're in a better position than many people are. And businesses, I think, have to understand that they have obligations to the societies that make their existence possible. And probably right now, one of the best, most valuable things we can do is to help good clients stay in business. Give people the goods and services they rely on, pay their taxes, give them gainful employment, and contribute to society. A great piece of work that kind of fits in with this as well, I think, is the EasyJet help bot. It was the kind of helping people get refunds and information, their vouchers. It was done really, really quickly after a need was identified to reach out to all these people. There was like a lot of talk on social media, so that we identified the problem very quickly, helped people get vouchers, helped people with cancellations. A really, really useful tool. And I think it helped turn around the perception of EasyJet in a ways at a time, kind of the height of the pandemic and the crisis. And there's some suggestion that all brands really should be kind of taking lessons from wellness brands. So, you know, actions speak louder than words. That means make meaningful change to support people's health and wellness, and then advertise the hell out of that. Appeal to the head and the heart, you know, be the correct calibration of both function and image. Intercepting with people at the right moment, delivering the right content, service or product just at the right time, and designing for the future. Don't just make your brand like kind of a healthier version of what it was in February, but reinvent it for the world ahead. In the aftermath of a shock, people needed reassurance. You know, we had the now kind of meme, I guess, of the COVID commercial. But that was a time when there, you know, people didn't know what was going on. It was just a reaction. It was just brands telling you, look, we're here, it's okay, everybody's in the same boat, we're all feeling like this. But then compare that to, you know, the reaction that we saw from people like Timpson, which is a smaller business, but Timpson are now offering people to clean their interview outfits for free. That's an example of an action, and not just, you know, comparing that with the words that were important, but they need to be followed up with actions as well. Optimistically, I would say we're somewhere around this point. We've been through the response, we've kind of gone through the recovery, and now starts the time for renewal. So there's a big opportunity for us here. But we also need to think that this was a kind of a really eye-opening survey from earlier this year, from about April or May this year, which showed that what people in advertising and marketing think is kind of out of touch with what most people think on certain things. People in advertising and marketing tend to think people want more hedonism, achievement, and power, whereas what people want or say they want is kind of universalism, benevolence, tradition. So I think what we need is a sort of an emotional intelligence to, as we start with this renewal, to really understand what it is people want and what's going to be really, really useful now. Now that sounds like it's going to be really dull and boring and worthy, but it doesn't have to be. Yes, we should be unusually kind to each other, but we should also we don't need to be so serious. Jokes actually help a lot. We don't have to be solemn. No, it's not a problem to have something that's light-hearted and fun. So the final point is to be an antidote for people, which is perhaps a poor choice of words in the circumstances. But putting these things together, the compass planning, the guidelines that I think will help businesses and brands in the next 6 months. Be a host. Look at this culture. There's great movement in culture at home, social entertainment, live experiences. Things are just better together. Be a retail-tainer. And again, I so apologize for that word. Look at social commerce, look at creative retail experiences, make online shopping an experience equal or better than offline shopping. Be a local, understand neighborhoods, understand people's world has just gotten so much smaller, even though it's starting to reopen a little bit. You know, the boundaries of probably, if you look at my Strava for the last 6 months, I think it shows I've walked about 3 kilometers. That's not true. But we have drastically reduced our movements, and so making going out easier is also part of that, and supporting communities is also part of that. And finally, be an antidote. Be helpful, be useful, and be optimistic. Those are my 4 points. Thank you very much for listening, and please shoot me up with any questions, any feedback you have, and thank you so much for sticking around to watch it.